internal lead generation process or the programs are not designed in a way to effectively start yielding the results. And that may be just because of the the ICP matching data is not right, or the messaging to that ICP data is not correct. The process is not in line. The follow process that should be in place is not actually designed and executed properly. So these are some of the common challenges to generate the first level of meetings and getting in front of the prospects. Because in today's world, if you see, getting 20 to 30 minutes of the time of any of the decision makers in an organization is very, very tough. Because if you recall or reconnect, like your inboxes will be filled with a lot of marketing emails where they have been like, well, you must be getting a lot of requests to set up a meeting for 20 to 30 minutes. And how many of the emails do you respond? It may be 0.0002%, 1%, 3%. So that is the kind of like challenge that most of our B2B customers are facing. They are not actually able to get in front of the right prospects and actually book that 20 to 30 minutes of the introductory meeting. So that's the first challenge. So in order to address that, we generally advise our customers that you need to have the STP process in place. The segmentation, targeting, and the positioning of your services should be in line. So the first step is like you need to define your ICP very, very clearly. Once you have defined your ICP, you need to have the data matching the ICP rightly. Once you have the data matching the ICP, then you need to make sure that the messaging to that ICP has to be well defined, and it should actually drive that value, or it should actually entice the prospects to get onto a call or to respond to your email campaigns. So, for example, if you're reaching out to me or I'm reaching out to you, your question to me would be that, why should I listen to you for 30 minutes or 20 minutes? Why should I bother listening to you for 20, 30 minutes and give my that precious time from my calendar? Why should I listen to you now? What is that you're going to help me with my problem statement now that I should be listening to you? And why should I bother to change my current solutions with your solutions? So what is that cost benefit analysis that I'm going to get? What is the timeline of the implementation of the solutions that you are trying to pitch me in? So your messaging to the ICP has to be created and crafted in a way that it actually resonates to the prospects and actually entices the prospects to agree for that 20 to 30 minutes, which is a challenging factor. So that's very important. So secondly, like in terms of like, it also depends a lot on the kind of market that you're selling in. So for different markets, you need to have a very different lead generation strategies. Say, for example, if you're operating in a mature market, so mature market, I mean to say that, take the example of a CRM market. If you're selling a CRM solution, so that market is quite mature. So in that kind of market, you need to have a lead generation strategy, which will actually help you to deliver a lot of volumes of meetings. Only then out of 10 meetings, like 2 to 3 will move to the closure stages. So that depends on the stages of the sales cycle. But if you're operating or if you're selling into a progressive market, say for example, like in today's world, like conversational AI or the AI is a very progressive market. So if you're trying to sell to that audience and to that market, people know that they have a problem statement in mind. So when they already have a problem statement, they would like to understand, or they would like to vision a solution, that what is the solution that you're planning to give to them. So the sales cycle in those kind of market becomes little shorter. It doesn't take that 3 to 6 months or 6 to 9 months or 12 months of the implementation, because we already have got a prospect who has got a problem statement. There you have to go there and introduce your solution, and then it moves to the next stages of the sales and the paperwork starts. So it very much depends on the kind of audiences that you're targeting and what's the kind of market that you're operating in. So your lead generation strategies should be effective to that market, basically, whether it's a mature market or it's a progressive market. So these are some of the challenges that the prospects or the B2B customers have, and that is how we try to.
Thank you so much, Alpesh, for your inputs. Jyoti, since we have you here, I just wanted to get some inputs from you. What do you think are the future trends in sales and marketing that are critical for companies to understand and adapt to?
Yeah, so actually, thank you for introducing me, Shashi. So I'm going to actually follow up on what Alpesh was talking about. He's absolutely right. You have to first distinguish whether you're in a mature market or a progressive market. So Fresh River, I'm the founder and managing director. So we've actually had FunnL run our lead gen for the last 5+ years now. And we've spoken to over 350 decision makers, all the right decision makers. And not only, especially being in AI, not only did we have to initially educate our buyers, which was the first thing to do. It won't move through the funnel because the prospects have to know they need something in AI, but they don't know what it is. So 5 years on, we are now obviously sitting in a very hot market, but there's a new challenge there, is that it's very crowded. All of a sudden, everybody, is now trying to sell services and become AI experts all of a sudden. It's helped us because we are now getting higher level of decision makers. We have C-level. So I'll just give you an example. We had a very large bank in the Midwest, US Midwest, which is where we operate largely in the US, and in some places globally. She came on, she's the president of wealth management of a $40 billion asset bank. And she said, this is the best call she's had. It hits all the notes. So, and this wasn't just a happenstance meeting that we got. It was through a lot of the positioning that Sanju and Shiva, who's our account lead, we worked on messaging. We've maybe done 3 revisions of the messaging in 5 years. Okay, we're very, very careful and thoughtful about how we approach and we write, but you have to be spot on the market. And the messaging is really, you have to be differentiated. If you look at, startups or mid-sized companies, which are largely where FunnL really excels, you got to break through the noise. And in order to break through the noise, you have to be very clear about your value proposition. So it begins in the entire journey, right from the beginning, the right messaging. And then to Alpesh's point, why should somebody spend 30 minutes? In some cases, we get 15 minutes, which is crazy, right? And they just stay on and then they continue, or they will bring, the highest level of compliment is, when the C-level shows up on our calls of companies that are over $1 billion plus in annual revenue. I mean, that is not easy to do. I would say it's nearly impossible. Right? And 2, they show up with some of their decision makers on the first call, if not the second call. To me, these are metrics of success. So for us, getting to the right people, making sure they understood our proposition from how the emails were written thoughtfully. How many times have we gotten feedback that this is the best sales experience that our clients and leads have had? I mean, these are the qualitative and quantitative points of feedback, which is why when I recommend, when I have colleagues and peers who ask me, like, how did you get 350 meetings in 5 years? That's when I make the introduction. I said, eyes closed, right? There's another problem that I think B2B marketing and sales lead gen is going to face, and that is with AI itself as tooling. Now more than ever, at scale, you can send emails that sound like they're written by human beings. I'm confident, and I'm hoping anyway, that the large, email providers, right? You look at Microsoft, you look at Google, will hopefully start to detect. But it is hard. We're in the Wild West right now. So even more so, the volume's going to go up. I still am a big believer, especially someone who is in AI, who understand the technology. I believe this is a space that we need human thought and care in the entire journey of nurturing somebody you don't know, like an executive that has to make a decision on how they're going to spend their time, for them to read. And people are getting smarter about when they read an email, is it written by a human being? A lot of sales, a lot of companies are just blasting. I get them all day long. Thankfully, my spam filter catches a lot of them. Some that make it through, I can tell right away that it was generated by, from an AI tool. In some cases, they even forget to put our name on, or they'll have somebody else's name on, right? So these are the things that I believe human beings still need to be at the front of this process, because your brand is also at risk. One of the things Sanju and I discussed early on, And by the way, I've known Sanju now, 7+ years. We actually worked when I was in my last corporate job, which is why this was a no-brainer decision for me to continue working with FunnL. Is, how do you articulate the value proposition, right? How you're going to use technology and data and people, right? So it's that right mix of things. And frankly, data is the key here. So one of the things I really, really appreciate the way the FunnL team does this, because I was head of marketing for 5 years before I started my own firm 5 years ago. The pain, the sheer pain you have to go through to buy lists, clean lists, teams that are spamming these decision makers, it's not easy. That turnkey element of how FunnL does it, to me, that's very clear. So hopefully that gives you sort of, experience from our perspective, and why I believe, I would say for the next few years, I would not see AI actually being the tooling that does this kind of work. We need more humans in front of this process. Hopefully that gives context to everybody on at least our experience.
Thank you so much, Jyoti. Sanju, I have here Dinesh Tatti. He is selling IT product services, and his question is, how should I be able to handle objections from people? How do I handle objections? You need to unmute, Sanju.
Sanju.
Yeah. Hey, so Dinesh, you mean for IT? Generally IT, you're saying that how to handle the objections when you get them in an IT industry sales. Is that the question?
Yes. Yes, that is the question.
I mean, it's in today's world, Dinesh, IT is like any other sales. So first is, of course, it depends obviously on the kind of objection that is coming through. But more than anything else, it is just about listening to the no's that come through and then answering those questions. It's such a broad question that I don't even know if it depends on what kind of objections come through and what kind of answers for that objection it will be. Okay, so cloud data center.
Yeah, Divakar, this is another person. He is from Serverwala Cloud Data Center. Divakar, you can speak out your query. I think it's an IT service. It comes under an IT service. What is your question, Divakar? Dinesh is the one who asked about
the other question.
objections.
Yeah.
Actually, we have quite a few, yeah. So, okay, like Dinesh is saying in cold calling, they say, I already have that in-house.
No.
So how do I? So it's very, very specific question he has.
Okay, so if they're saying it's a question of about building it yourself or outsourcing it. So if somebody already has a solution inside internally in the company, the way we typically push, because we have companies that FunnL works with where there's already an inside sales team, and then we are obviously the second the team that goes in there additionally. It is only about augmenting the resources and getting the skill that company that you're selling to does not possess. That's a very important thing. So if you're able to get any piece of skill, any skill that the company that you're selling into does not possess, it's a very easy sale from that perspective onwards. And then, of course, getting in there and then growing your account. That's the way you should approach that sales, that kind of an objection.
How does one actually, Sanju, understand a sales team, and how does one build a strong sales team?
Shashi, that's the question that I would probably it would take another webinar and more to do that. I would say one thing that if you were to look for in a sales person, and if you're hiring a sales team, how you could probably do is how do they handle no rejections? So if as a salesperson you are not able to handle rejections, 9 out of 10 rejections, that's not a salesperson. So you can speak to Alps or anybody out there, anybody who sells. I speak to 10 people, I get 9 no's, I get 1 yes, and that's about it. That's my life.
Dinesh is asking one question. He says nowadays they say that cold calling is dead. What do you say?
So Dinesh, to clarify that one is that FunnL does not do cold calling. FunnL is a B2B sales lead or sales meeting generation company that achieves what it's committed to its customers, that is sales meetings, using personalized email marketing. So it is, I would say, a mid path between an ABM approach and an approach where you kind of target everybody. So that is the approach that FunnL has. So we don't do cold calling. So I would not be the right person probably to answer that question.
Yeah. Now, Rantej Singh has a question. He says, Google, Yahoo, and Outlook have recently tightened the rules around sales outreach emailing. So how does one work around or with these rules?
Alps, I think that's right up your alley. I can just chime in.
Yeah, the process is something that in the approach that FunnL follows is, like I mentioned, we need to get 30 minutes of the time. So that has to be a process in place. So the process in place typically defines that we reach out to the exact ICP that the services match. So if you're selling a procurement solution, it's very important for us to reach out to those procurement profiles or the finance profiles or the sourcing profiles in the organization and not to any other. So that with the process that we follow, like sending out to 5 decision makers in a company for that solution is the best way, and having a very disciplined approach. Say, for example, in a company, we have got 4 to 5 decision makers, and we start our campaign communication with the C level first, and then we reach out to the next level, that is the directors and the VPs, and then the senior managers down the top to bottom approach. So that obviously depends on the number of emails that we are able to send to every organization on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and the number of emails, controlled emails going to the company. So that actually serves the purpose that we are not spamming and we are actually reaching out to the right people, right ICP, and with the correct messaging.
Dinesh has one more question. He says, what is the best approach to reach prospects? It's a very wide
in today's world, I would say if it is B2B, it is emails are still, if you're doing it the right way. So that's, Rantej's question has actually raised a very important point, and, to adding to Alps, what he said. See, the data has to be extremely clean. So that has to be built ground up in the right way. The messaging that goes through has to be unique and to the point. It is not like I'm trying to hook you onto something that I'm trying to bait you or something. So the messaging has to be crafted by the analyst or the people who are doing it in that fashion. And then last but not the least, all the processes have to be followed, be it technology process like DMARC setting and all of those settings that come on one side and everything else put together. All of that is in a combination is what works. So FunnL is not having so much of an issue, or actually not having an issue at all, is what probably the thing is that for us the process is already being done. We are already doing a personalized email marketing approach and following these basic tenets. So to Rantesh, to answer your question, it does not impact companies like ours, FunnL, so much, essentially because the volume of emailing and everything else is way off the radar. These rules probably would be more impacting companies, that like Apollo, Zoom Info, and all of that, where more of mass emailing actually happens.
Yeah, thank you, Sanju. I mean, when a small business, how does it go about scaling when they don't have enough budget, to
I think the best person to answer that will be Jyoti, because she actually did that. She's actually come all the way 5 years back, and Jyoti, you are a success story in yourself.
I was a bit distracted. I was just getting an email. Could you just repeat the last part, Sanju?
Yeah. Okay, Shashi, please, you should.
Yeah, the question is, Jyoti, if it's a small company which wants to scale up, they don't have that huge budget. How does it take the first step,
So, I think this is a crawl, walk, run. I'm a big fan of testing and then quickly learning and adjusting as you go around, right? When you first begin, you have to be first very clear about the value proposition that you have, okay? When you make the investment, just think about it this way. How much money are you spending right now on my favorite term, spray and pray marketing? Okay, those don't work, I guarantee it. To date, for the last 5 years, I have spent $0 on marketing. The only thing we've done is refreshed our website. Everything else is earned media for us. Okay, so let me just put that out there from a marketing standpoint, because the best leads come from two sources. One as this kind of lead generation, which is email based, and the second is content. You must be talking authentically about what you do. These are not transactional relationships that you're selling. And for all the sales folks, especially the question that came in, taking no for an answer, you need to find out why. Because there is a reason. Either your positioning is not right, or the buyer still has a vendor that they're happy with, in which case you got to really look at your competitive positioning. So when it comes to investment, think about how much you're willing to spend to get even one big deal. It's really a math problem. Okay, the ROI on this is you have to start. I'm not suggesting everybody go spend like $1 million, although I'm sure Sanju and Alpesh would love that. But there is no magic bullet if you were to even have $1 million, for example, to spend on this. You have to be very, very thoughtful. You start with small, you run the process. Once your prospects that come on the call tell you, this is exactly what I'm looking for, you now have confirmation of your thing. And that's nothing that FunnL can do for you. For your business, and to all the salespeople out there, I really, really empathize with Salesforce, because I've run marketing, I've run product, I've been a software engineer, I've sort of seen from and I am now a salesperson for the last 5 years, all right? When I talk to them, first thing I tell them is, I'm not selling anything to you. Okay, we're having a conversation. So as salespeople, you must really, truly understand what you're selling. So this is like making, and since our audience is largely from India and have the cultural background, think about the khichdi. When you're going to make the most spectacular khichdi, you have to have all the right ingredients. And it does take investment. Money's not the answer by itself, right? The right pitch is not the right answer by itself. When you've got that right formula, and the moment your prospects start telling you, this is amazing, I've been looking for you, where have you been? Until you reach that point, you're just going to hit your head against a wall over and over again. Back to you.
Yeah. There's a question Dinesh is asking. Sanju, I think you should be able to answer this. How frequently should we change the email content or template that we send to?
Okay, I'll tell you a trade secret here, Dinesh. If possible, every day. I'm not talking about a dramatic change. I'm not talking about overhauling the whole right thing that you have written there. Every single day, each of the campaigner in your team, if possible, should be able to make slight modifications to the letters that they are sending. Slight modifications would mean not changing the bullet points, not changing them dramatically, saying that I'm selling something else. Be it with salutations, be it with the way you kind of start off the first line, the way you kind of end, the way you kind of module the whole thing. If possible, change it every day. But if you're trying to do it at a different approach where you have a tool that is doing it, then change it when required. Because if there is a change that has happened, an update that you definitely need to be telling the world, which is going to be a hook for you to get sales meetings, then change it at that time when you have to change it. If you want to find a pattern to it, if you want to kind of keep a timetable on it, I would say change it once in every quarter. You can make a bigger change in your letters. That probably would be an ideal thing. But in a real sales world, slight changes every day help. It helps you from multiple perspectives. One is it makes obviously the email look more humane. It's actually a human being writing it, and some things here and there are all great. The other advantage is that it also helps you to get through most of the spam filters around the world. So that's the approach you should be taking.
Yeah, we've almost come to the conclusion because we are running out of time. So if there's anybody here in the group who'd like to ask a question or two, we can take a question or two. So quickly ask your question, or we will just be concluding, and then you can write to us separately. I'll ping the email ID of Sanju and Alpesh, who are chief speakers for tonight. Yeah, Dinesh 30 is asking again. Some use email, Gmail, Outlook to send emails. Which works better, Gmail or Outlook?
I will answer that.
Alpesh?
I could answer that in an email separate. You write to me, Dinesh. I could answer. I do not want to be committing on one provider or the other at this point in time. Thank you.
Yeah. So,
For us, both work. By the way, for FunnL, both works.
yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to close it then.
Thank you, Shashi.
To just respecting the time of everybody. So thank you, everybody, folks. I've just pinged the email IDs of Sanju. And then please do ping us. And if you need any more inputs, we'll be more than willing to address them. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very productive.
Thanks.
Productive.
Thank
Thank you, Sanju and Alpesh.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you so
Shashi,
much.
for organizing this. Thank you.
Thank you.